We are joined now by Jennifer Gray Thompson, the CEO of After the Fire, an organization focused on improving wildfire recovery. It's nice to see you. Thanks for being here to have a part of this conversation. There's so many things going on in the world. It's hard to believe 5 months have now passed since Lahaina, as our attention spans are so short. So many people, you fear, forget about this, but there are so many challenges that you still face in that community. What are the biggest challenges to rebuilding? How is it going right now? What are the obstacles you're addressing?
Well, you know, I just took a delegation of 13 people who were fire survivors to professionals who'd run major programs at the federal level to Lahaina about a month ago. And we spent a week actually sitting with people all the way from fire survivors to county to Bob Fenton, who's the FEMA administrator. You know, it's a very complicated fire. We actually consider it more of a master class in how to recover from a fire, meaning they're going to need all of our talents, everything we can do. They're really doing some innovative things in Hawaii and in Maui, and so we're optimistic for them, but it's going to be incredibly complicated.
What are some of the unique challenges? What are the biggest challenges right now?
Right now, housing is the biggest challenge, and what they've done...
Where to put these people?
Oh my gosh, where to put these people, but on an island, too, that already had a housing crisis.
Yeah.
Now, they have about 12,000 empty units of short-term rental housing, which is 3 times more than what they need. And so we're pretty optimistic that they're going to be able to place people in those homes. But it's also in the rebuilding process, because it is an island, it takes 120 days to actually get things there for the materials. And you can't just send things there like some trailers where they will always be there.
120 days to get the necessary resources for rebuilding or trailers or whatever else it may be. I wanted to ask you about the governor in Hawaii, of course, Josh Green, unveiling this interim housing plan, Maui interim housing plan, I think it's formally named. How is that going right now? Does it go far enough to sort of address this and expedite this need?
Well, some people are worried it doesn't go far enough, but I don't really share those worries. I think it's very innovative. We've not seen that kind of public-private, nonprofit effort to really rehouse that many people in such a specific situation. So we actually think that while we will help Lahaina and Maui recover and rebuild, we also believe that they are inventing things there that we are going to be able to use and adapt to other communities in the future.
I want to talk about some of the visits you've had here. Speaking of lawmakers, as you were telling me in the break, you're going to do it for the next couple of days as well. I imagine you're receiving a good reception from the lawmakers here who I hope share your passion, our passion to help rebuild this beautiful part of this country right now. Tax relief is so critical as it relates to legislation. Why is tax relief so important for those there?
There's an error in the tax code that says that if you receive a wildfire settlement, which we anticipate will be true on Maui as well, that you have to claim that as personal income tax. And in doing so, pay that rate. And you cannot deduct your attorney's fees. It's really because the era of mega fires is only about 6 years old. And so this was not an anticipated outcome of our tax code. But at the same time, we really need Republicans, Democrats, independents to work together to make sure that this bill is passed, and passed right now. We don't have time to waste.
Were lawmakers open to that, those you spoke to?
You know, they're very open to it, and we are very optimistic, but it really takes political will, and we are here to make sure we are negotiated in, and we are not negotiated out of the
Well, that's my question, because right now there's still a lot of fighting about all sorts of aid for other parts of the planet. They can't come to some agreement on what to do for Ukraine, for Israel, for the border, right? There's a lot for this Congress to juggle right now. This should be a no-brainer, I would think, for a lot of lawmakers, and nonetheless, it remains a challenge.
You know, we've been working on this for 2.5 years, and no matter where we go, Republican, Democrat, everybody agrees that it's a very important issue. They all agree with it, but what we really need is political will and the desire to get this done for the American people. This goes far beyond, like, there isn't anybody who thinks that our bill is a bad idea, but it's really expending that political will, which is what we need from both sides of the aisle.
We have a tendency in this business to cover the disaster and not be there for the recovery. You guys started this organization after the awful wildfires in Northern California, where I grew up, where you live, back in 2017. They were destructive. There have been more fires since then. What is the state of rebuilding in those 6 years since, and is there sufficient progress there?
You know, it really depends on what the county has. In our case, I come from a wealthier county in Sonoma County, so we are about 95% rebuilt 6 years later. But another county, especially rural and frontier, that doesn't have as many resources, like Paradise, amazing community, but they're only about 30% rebuilt 5 years later.
And the biggest takeaway from this conversation, of which there were several, the idea that it can take 4 months to get the necessary resources to Hawaii because it's an island chain, right? You can't just drive that thing from the mainland. It's a real challenge. Jennifer Gray Thompson, it's nice to meet you in person. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.